Hi, everyone. Welcome to the LaunchPreneur Experience event. And today we're here with Janice Wong. I'm very excited to talk to Janice because as we're launching, one of the things that a lot of us forget to do is to take care of ourselves. And that actually results in low productivity. And Janice is a director of nursing turned impact-driven mompreneur. So I'm very excited to have her talk to us about mindful productivity to scalable, profitable launches. Hi, Janice.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So would you please let the audience know a little bit of what they're going to learn with your presentation?
Yeah, well, I'm here to disrupt the concept of productivity because in order to do more, we actually need to slow down. So I will talk a lot about how to slow our mind down during launches so then we actually produces more high quality outcome.
Oh, that's perfect. And that's the hardest thing to do when you're in a launch mode, right? For a lot of us, we're like, we got to do this. There's always the to-do list that it's never ending growing. So I'm very excited about your presentation. And Janice actually has two gifts for the audience. One you got when you actually register for this event, which is learn how the art of time blocking increases your productivity and profitability. And the other one is if you are part of our VIP experience, then you're going to get a 6-week program, Productivity Reset. It's worth $797. And I believe we can all use some productivity reset right now. So thank you so much, Janice. I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing everyone. Submit your homework, make a post in a group, and I'll see you there.
Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Mindful Productivity to Scalable Launch session. I'm so excited that you're here, and I can't wait for you to walk away with some mindset shifts and practical tips. So let's begin. Now, if you can, please pause this recording for a moment to get paper and pen, take some notes, and write down some answers to this one question. What comes to mind when you think of a launch? Write down everything that comes to mind. You can pause this recording if you need more time to write things down. Next, circle the words of feelings or emotions. Maybe you've wrote down excited, overwhelmed, exhausting, a lot to do. Circle anything that brings you a strong emotion or feeling. Or maybe they even cause you butterflies in your stomach, or you realize that your heart's pounding a little faster. So you can pause that and take some time to do that. Now, there's one thing that you will remember from this session. I hope you will walk away with this. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it's called the present. We've all heard that 80% of the result comes from our mindset. And when it comes to productivity, say 80% is about your mindfulness. The ability to stay in the present and be aware of what's going on. Especially when you're preparing a launch or during a launch. Is your mind full or are you being mindful? There are a lot of discussion surrounding productivity about how to do more, do faster, limit external distractions, turn off your phone or put in do not disturb mode. But the root cause of all things is our internal distractions. Our mind may be going through 100 different scenarios, right? About how, if people show up to the launch, how many DMs did you send or your team has sent, creating the materials, rehearsing or presentation, or the biggest headache, the technology. What if Facebook were to shut down that day? What if I can't live stream into Facebook, etc.? When our mind is so occupied, it's very difficult for us to be productive because we're spending so much mental energy, sometimes even emotion, energy or availability to battle these internal distractions. And when you don't have the bandwidth, because your emotion, your mind are jam-packed, it's so difficult to stay laser focused, right? So this presentation is for you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, you're constantly in this hamster wheel, that you're not having that work-life balance and harmony that you hoped for by creating this business, because now you're being bogged down with a bunch of the to-do list, you're getting tired. Your relationships might be suffering because you're getting snappy, or you're not getting enough rest. You're having a lot of anxiety about whether your business will turn out to be the way you want it. So if you're battling with all that, please stay till the end. So today we're going to first address mindfulness, and then we'll discuss some productivity hacks for yourself and your team. And last but not least is, how do we get to a profitable and scalable launch? So we've all heard that mindset is about our thoughts triggering our emotions, leading to our actions. We often talked about we need to have a growth mindset, understand that everything is a process, keeping an open mind and allow things to be fluid, including how we adapt to things that's come up during our launch. This then leads to less frustrations and being able to take actions when we have the ability, the bandwidth to do so. Now, while all these are important, a lot of times the emphasis are put on our thoughts. We think that if we fix our thoughts, everything will be fixed. But the reality is, usually it's our emotions that get triggered first. We usually first we react. When we're being reactive, especially when we're overwhelmed, then things will go south. We get frustrated. We then can't think clearly. We're not going back to the plan that we originally had planned. The previous model has a flaw because it is interpreting the cycle in a one-way street. But we ought to remember that it's bidirectional. Our emotions will affect our thoughts, will affect our actions will affect our emotions. Kind of similar to if you're in an argument with, a partner. They said something before you can even think about it. You're feeling angry, or you're feeling that they have maybe offended you. Maybe they didn't, they took your actions for granted. And, we say something hurtful to each other. And then later on, maybe when you're quiet down, you realize, oh, well, I didn't mean to hurt a relationship. Or, maybe it was a misunderstanding. So the practice of strengthening our mindset really first takes mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness, and being mindful means becoming aware of the presence, our emotion, how we react to our thoughts, and then following that train. Once you realize that maybe you're getting anxious or maybe you're getting angry, if you're able to actually realize that emotion and pause, that can stop that negative spiral going into negative thoughts or any misbelief or self-sabotaging thoughts. So then we can fine-tune our attention, go back to the action and staying laser focused and carrying that out. So if you look back to the list that you've created in the beginning, how many words of emotion or feelings did you write down? How many did you circle? you may realize that you've written down more emotions, feelings, than actual item of to-do list. So how did you react when you had a negative feeling or thought during lunch? Were you able to go take a nap, go for a run? Were you able to reset? Or did you just go back to your desk or your phone and just kept working, sending more DMs, calling more meeting with your team, adjusting the presentation or workbook, etc.? We often think that the more effort and time we put in, the better result we get. This is what we've been taught in school. This is what, maybe our parents have taught us. We think that the busier we get, the more things we can get done, the more productive we would be, and we would have better results. However, we often forget that productivity is not linear. Just because you're getting done more doesn't mean that you're productive. Doesn't mean that these activities and things that you get done was effective in delivering the results, nor was it efficient. It is actually the performance and the quality of our work that really matters. An optimal performance comes from the right amount of pressure so that we can take consistent and sustainable actions and not just a sprint. Sometimes we forget that entrepreneurship is a sport, right? Our body and our mind aren't designed to run nonstop. So is the team we hire. When our emphasis is putting on wanting more, faster, to-do list getting longer, that oftentimes leads to fatigue, exhaustion, anxiety, self-care out the window, and we get burnout. So when our mind is full of stuff, we're not able to stay motivated to receive that peak performance, because hustling constantly is just not sustainable. So it's important that we come back to the present, embrace the presence, practice mindfulness, be aware and cognizant of our thoughts, feelings, and first of all, what I love the most is to write things down, do a bring down to offload and close the loop in our mind of things that overwhelmed us, things that we think we need to do. It is very important that we write down our values, your mission, the deliverable or the transformation that you're able to deliver during a launch. I would post it on the wall, or actually post it around my computer, because visual reminders are very powerful. When we have an emotion, we have a thought, we look at the visual prompts, it brings us back to where we stay grounded. Next is sense. So, with our five senses, our sense of smell is actually quite interesting. Some people respond pretty well with that. So if you find yourself having a difficult time journaling, sitting down quietly, visualizing, meditating, or just calming your senses, sense sometimes it's very powerful. So you can get an aromatherapy machine, essential oil that you like. Another great way to remind yourself to stay grounded is sound. Sometimes we, when you go to the gym, you play like really high pound music. Sounds, such as the beta wave, actually helps us focus or concentrate. There are tons of apps nowadays where you can just Google for video sound bites of YouTube. Last but not least, to try to find that balance and stay grounded again is space. So if you're stuck at your desk, if you're constantly kind of locked up in this work closet because everyone's working from home, take a walk outside, maybe move things into even your kitchen, your bathroom, living room, try to move things around and give yourself this kind of fresh sense of sensation of surrounding. Now, last thing about mindfulness is that I want to remind you, if you're constantly spending two part of the energy to get one part of work done and not seeing result, sometimes it's because what you're doing is not aligned with your value. So it's really important to come back to the origin, to your values, what you believe in, what you believe you're serving, and make sure that what you're delivering aligns with the values, so you're not having this constant inner conflict. Now let's move into some productivity hacks. First of all is, of course, a big topic, time management. In your free tools packet, you have received my Art of Time Blocking as a gift. So I'm not going to spend too much time on time blocking this moment, but a few reasons why people don't find time blocking works is, one, they're not first putting down the non-negotiables. And by that, I mean maybe it's your self-care routine, is taking the kids to school, allowing time for your family, allowing time for yourself. These are actually non-negotiables that will wear your body down, that will wear your mind down if you're not satisfying that piece of your life, your mind. So first, block off the non-negotiables. Then I will identify what I call a few power hours. So if you're like me, if you're a busy mom and trying to run two businesses, then you have tons of things to do. But I would identify just 1 to 3 priorities for today, and work on them during those power hours. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be 30 minutes block. It could be in 1 hour, 2 hour blocks. The important thing is to account for the time spent on planning and the preparation of the tasks. So let's say if you need to write a blog post, or you need to record a podcast, break it down, because maybe recording a podcast takes 30 minutes, but the preparation might take, another 15 minutes. So I would break those down into chunks and really just visualizing and walk your mind through the process, and that will help you build that muscle. Now, another favorite tool I have is this quadrant chart from Stephen Convoy. For those who've read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People will find this very familiar. I will start with a list of bringing down things I think I need to do that gives me anxiety. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get this done. I write them all down, and then I plug them into this quadrant chart. So what is necessary? What are things that have deadline versus what are things that are needle moving, which is so important that we plan for these implementation tasks. These might not have a deadline, but because they don't have a deadline, oftentimes they get neglected, even though they're most important things that we have to do, such as networking, creative thinking, being productive, revising some components of your business or workflow. All those are very important. And then distraction and waste. Sometimes, especially if you're like me, you pay a lot of attention to details. Even, maybe when you're doing slides, I'm like, oh my gosh, this font size or this alignment is not right. Sometimes I get hung up with it. And of course, these are not things that matter. These are not things that will drive your revenue directly. So just be sure to catch yourself in any habits like as such. And last but not least is make sure that we're batching our task to stop multitasking, so that we can focus and spend one part of energy delivering one part of work and getting 100% of the effectiveness of so. Another common area that I see a lot of us might have spent some extra unnecessary time is flipping through stuff, flipping through paper, clicking 5 clicks before you reach a file, and constantly looking for stuff. So make sure that you create an operation hub for yourself. That could include maybe a centralized file, whether it's Google Drive. We're putting all the wording, branding into one piece of document, so you can distribute this to your team, or even, when you're responding to PR inquiry, that you can always come back to a library of your company info, the resources, templates. I template everything at the beginning, even though I'm not sure if I'm going to use the same template. Whenever I start a task or a new process, I have in mind that this is going to be a workflow, a streamlined workflow. So whenever I start planning stuff, I would make it as if this is going to last. So I'm not doing the work again. I'm just, going back, and I only have to do it once. And then last but not least, of course, is identifying identifying the essentials. What can be eliminated, what can be automated, what can be delegated. When we give ourselves a time limit, for example, you're only working 7 hours a day because that's why you created your business, then give yourself that timeline. Focus on the priority, and whatever is not essential will eventually slow down. Now, when it comes to launch, pre-launch planning is everything. When we talk about launch, it is actually the pre-launch phase that you will need to focus most on. So make sure that you're clearly defining your mission, your value, your unique market proposition and transformation. Grill that into your brain, put down various writings and tape it up. So then you're able to step back and look back into your values and the big picture when you're during launch and feeling overwhelmed, or when your audience are driving you to this one core point that you want to emphasize. Now, when it comes to your team, it's important to set clear expectation. Be transparent in the communication, in the process. Be transparent about team performance. Remove any barrier that would hinder them from reaching you, or, if they have to jump through multiple levels, write multiple emails before they can get to you, so then they can escalate things quickly and effectively. Last but not least is the profitability and the scalability of your launch. So it really starts with systemizing and streamlining the process, real-time tracking the data and KPI. Again, template everything, so then when you're doing your post-launch evaluation, you can find out what's effective, what's not. And again, before we end, I just want to remind us again that productivity is about being in an optimal and sustainable place of performance. So it's important that we practice mindfulness. We learn to practice mindfulness, especially evaluating it on a spectrum of emotion and your wellness. Because hustling constantly is not sustainable. And at what cost would you put up to continue this hustle? Sometimes we have this belief that if I just do this one more thing, I will get there. But when you look around things that you might have missed, things that you have to sacrifice, does that one thing really matters? So it's time to reset our productivity. So I urge that you purchase the VIP package, or you can DM me so we can talk more about how to reset your productivity, your mindfulness, your space, so you can be the real CEO and you can enjoy the present. Thank you very much. You can find me at Janice W_RN, or on LinkedIn, Janice Wong BECEBE. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the summit. Please stay in touch.